Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
All right, so I've got some questions. We've been burning through some of these questions.
Yeah.
Did I overwhelm you with all these questions that I sent you?
No, I loved it. We were talking about, I think, like, leaders ask questions. My whole philosophy is, kids ask on average 125 questions a day. This is a study done by Rolf Smith. And adults ask on average 6 questions. So somewhere between childhood and adulthood, we lose 119 questions a day.
Yeah.
So we got to get those back.
Your kids are adults now, right?
They are.
Were they readers as younger children?
Yeah, I part of fathering them and parenting them was trying to kind of unlock their love of language and literature, and so they probably read a little bit more fiction than I do. I'm too practical. I think I'm a little bit more nonfiction, but yeah, they read.
I bet you read a lot of fiction growing up.
Well, out of those 6 books I read,
Yeah. Well,
not much.
My wife is a voracious reader. She will go nowhere without her Kindle if we go on vacation.
There you go.
But blessed, because my oldest son Drew, shout out Drew, he just turned 13, and he is just such a disciplined reader. He'll read anything he can get his hands on. So I just always tell him, I try to encourage him that with that habit that you have, it will take you so far in life.
Yep.
I think so much of someone who can just read and pour through content and information, and do it really well. And so anyhow, let's talk about mentorship and coaches.
Yeah.
Like, you came up with these life goals, and you talked about, was it Dick Foth?
Yes, Dick Foth. Yeah.
Dick Foth, who's 80 years old. And so talk to us about your mentors or your life coaches, or like who's had the biggest impact on your life, and how you found a mentor or coach, and how they've helped you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, probably that old axiom is true: when the student's ready, the teacher will appear.
That's good.
For some reason, it might have been, Charlie, just the way I was growing up, or the way I was raised when I was growing up, just to respect your elders, to show honor. And I'm a little concerned some of that is lost in our culture, but I've always been someone that I love people who have been there and done that. I think we drink from wells we didn't dig, we eat from fields we didn't plant, and we live in houses we didn't build.
Yes.
So I'm a big believer in giving honor where honor is due. So I've always tried to posture myself with people who have been there and done that. So Dick Foth, 80 years old, and this is more of a testament to him. I mean, he really took me under his wings and was so kind and gracious with his time and his wisdom. And so I was just looking for any opportunity I could to hang out with him. And
so cool.
Over the years, I've just found people that, I want to be like them. I want to be like them. And so the way I say it is, I think everybody has kind of a unique anointing, an anointing that's almost as unique as their fingerprint. I want to bump into that anointing. I want to bump into your anointing. Because I have 2 rules of life. One, everyone's my superior in some way, and that I learn of them.
I've heard you say that before.
So I want to glean from Charlie. What do I have to learn from Charlie? And then the second one, everyone's fighting a battle I know nothing about. In that, I empathize with them. So I think I've tried to take that approach to people, but here we are, just on the heels of, we hosted Easter sunrise at the Lincoln Memorial. I mean, it might have been 10,000 people there. We didn't start it. That's 42 years of Pastor Amos Dodge in Capitol Church, plowing the ground and planting seeds, and for us to be able to then inherit what is a sacred assignment. I'm just so cognizant, we didn't do anything to deserve that. So I always want to be postured around people that have more wisdom than me
Yeah.
that been there and done that.
I love some might call it an old school approach, but or a traditional approach. But I think there's a lot of wisdom in that approach. I mean, it's probably how people lived for hundreds and hundreds of years, and the way traditions were passed on.
Yep.
And there was a respect for elders and those who had paved the way. I like to call it like standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
We're all standing on the shoulders of giants, and for all the luxuries we have, and all the amenities that we have, and all the special things that we have, and so with my life or with our lives, like let's just advance the ball a little bit further, and push it a little bit further, and pave the way for the next generation. I mean, I'd be curious to know how many years out that you're thinking, and I'll give you a reason why. You were talking about the giving and the goals for giving goals.
Yeah.
I recently read the founder of Hobby Lobby's book, David Green.
Yes.
I don't know if you know him.
Oh yeah.
Leadership Not by the Book.
Yeah.
And they give away 50% of their profits.
Yeah.
And it's because he wants to be able to give more. And, and he's been doing it for over 50 years, I think, at Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really kind of inspired him. And he's had this posture of but he started also in this book saying he was working with a coach, and he started thinking about in 150-year time frames. So he wants to think of like where are we going to be in 150 years? Not like in 10 years or 5 years or 15 years. 150 years. So some really long-term planning. But planting those seeds and just faithfully sowing the seeds, and then the harvest will come in 150 years. So it's God's been planning for a lot longer time frames. But like, how long is your time frame, and what do you think about that that aspect?
I mean, I'm probably not at 150 years, but I will tell you this: if you're thinking in 150-year timelines, you're taking your profits and building a museum of the Bible, which is our next door neighbor here. So really impressed with their foresight, the way that they think. Here's how I think. I want to be thinking in 70-year timelines.
Okay.
And that comes out of Jeremiah, where it says, hey, you're going to be in Babylon for 70 years. So build houses, plant gardens, marry your sons and daughters. Like, in other words, you've got to think in 70-year timelines. There was actually a false prophet named Hananiah who said, you're only going to be there 2 years. Well, if you think in 2-year timelines, you're not even unpacking your suitcase. So I do want to be thinking about the third and fourth generation.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example. So here we are in a city block that I would not have had a category for a city block a mile from the Capitol, wouldn't have had a category for the price tag either. I mean, a $29.3 million building. But you know what we did? We dug 109 micropiles, 40 feet deep, spent $1 million reinforcing the 96 columns that are 130 years old that support this building. Why? Because we have 1.5 acres of roof deck right above us, which is incredibly valuable real estate. I don't think we'll build on it, but there might be a second or third or fourth generation that builds on it. So what if we do the legwork? What if we do the groundwork? Why don't we micropile it, set it up for the third and fourth generation, so that someday they have 1.5 acres to build on?
Wow.
So that's kind of the mindset of thinking a little bit longer than just 2 or 3 or 5 years out.
Yeah, I love the 70-year aspect. That's amazing. Can we talk about this place that we're at? This amazing. I got the tour of this place, Capitol Turnaround. I think when I shared with Ernesto, he said, "Hey, can we get a room?" I said, "Well, I think Mark knows someone at Capitol Turnaround. I think we're good." So this is an amazing place. And the moment I walked in here, part of coming to see you is I wanted to try to just meet you. It's been a dream of mine to meet you, and because you have had such an inspiration on my life. I've tried to pay it forward, but by giving away your books and telling people about your stories,
I love it.
and sharing it, because it's just, I think it's so powerful and so well done. But also, I walked in here and I wanted to maybe, I'm searching for a bigger dream, a new dream, a good vision.
Yeah.
And I feel like I got it when I walked in here. I was like, wow, this is powerful. Give us the story of capital turnaround in your words.
Yeah. The short version, and it's one of those things that, you almost need to be in the building, because the picture is worth 1,000 words. But when we walked in 2014, which is when we bought it, it was drop ceilings. We have 19.5-foot ceilings, but it was 8-foot drop ceilings.
Okay.
So, and then it was drywall all over, and carved up little classrooms with hallways. It was like 100,000 square foot maze.
Okay. What was it?
Faith. Well, it was being used as a school.
Okay.
It was used by a healthcare organization. Originally, it was the 1891 Navy Yard car barn.
Okay.
So it's where streetcars were repaired and rerouted. So when we called it the turnaround, it's a little play on words.
I got it.
And instead of just turning around streetcars, we're turning around people's lives.
Love it.
But Charlie, here's the short version. To me, faith is seen through drywall that's not load bearing. It's seen through drop ceilings and realizing, no. There's a lot more headroom here. And so what we did is we came in, and before you build, sometimes you have to demo. So we demolished about 50,000 square feet of this building down to the columns.
Wow.
And then rebuilt it from the ground up.
Okay.
And so you got to have eyes of faith. You got to see past what's already constructed. And so that's what we tried to do.
Now, have you become a real estate expert through this process?
I mean, I don't think I'm an expert at anything, but you put on a real estate hat and commercial development. I mean, here's the backstory. 1996, we have 19 people, and I feel this prompting to pray a perimeter around Capitol Hill. And it ends up being a 4.7 mile prayer walk. And I wasn't praying for property, I was praying for people. But 27 years later, we own 6 properties right on that prayer circle.
Wow.
One kind of corner of that circle is a crack house. It's now Ebenezer's Coffee House.
We were there earlier today.
And the other corner is the city block that is now the Capitol Turnaround.
Wow.
And 4 other properties. We may be, I mean, besides the federal government, might be the largest landowners on Capitol Hill.
That's amazing.
I mean, there's a few other developers that have some significant pieces of property. But Charlie, I never thought we would own a thing 27 years ago. But I think one of the things I've learned is that if you are thinking long, part of it is the real estate game of we want this for future generations. And so we may have paid $29.3 million for it and put tens of millions more into it. It'll be worth 2 times, 3 times, 5 times in 10, 20, 50, 100 years.
Yeah.
So it is, you dream big, you pray hard, but you also think long. And when you think long, you begin making decisions, not just based on actual cost, but opportunity cost.
Yeah.
And now I'm talking your language. 'Cause that's,
It's resonating.
that's
It's good.
business speak,
It's good.
right?
It's good.
And most people are good at calculating actual cost, not as good at calculating opportunity cost. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.